What is going on YouTube? I did that thing again where I forget to record an intro, so technically I'm at the end of the day making the intro. That's just how things go sometimes. But in today's episode, more ambulance stuff. A lot of you guys are probably wondering why I'm focusing on the ambulance so hard. It's not that I'm focusing on stuff like extra hard, it's just that we work on stuff for a week and we make one video out of it usually. We take all that footage from the whole week. You know, you have like 60 hours of content. You shift that down into like a 20, 30-minute video. That's the magic of YouTube, baby. But since I'm doing this video everyday crap and I know you guys love and enjoy, sometimes I forget to film intros. So we're working on the ambulance, tear more shit apart. And guess what? I weld. So let's just cut right into wherever I started recording today. So today's gonna be a dirty one. So we confirmed that the wiring's good, even though that this looks like a fucking nightmare. I got all the wiring taken care of. So there's still a few more things that I need to do in this ambulance before we start building. And it's pretty small stuff, but it's stuff. In a build like this, it's kind of hard to plan every step. And I see a lot of people asking me like, why are you planning this? Or why are you doing that? Or how are you planning to do this? And things do change. That's part of builds. One of the things that keeps changing is the dimensions of stuff, because while stuff like refrigerators and ovens dimensions are usually listed online, they don't always work 100% in your favor. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because it says it's exactly 16 inches high or whatever, doesn't mean it's gonna work the way you thought it was gonna work. One of the most important things on building stuff like this is to remember that things are gonna change. Plans are gonna change, things aren't gonna go exactly how you plan them unless you've done it a million times. Always a bunch of obstacles. It's how you overcome those obstacles that dictate whether or not the build gets done. So I say all that to say that we still got a little bit more cutting to do. Originally we were gonna build off of this wheel well and then build a water tank into here, cut this box out completely, and we're gonna just build a U-shaped tank that kind of fit over this whole area. And it was gonna be around 40 gallons. And there's a lot of issues that go into that. And we changed our mind on doing that to doing a PVC tank. That being said, that this is a little bit taller than we expected, even though the dimensions are to a T on the internet. We just measured wrong. Shit happens. So this is a little bit taller than we wanted it to be because we want the counter and the window to be parallel, so we don't lose any window because there's very limited windows in here. And the way we have it set up, that's like 2 inches in difference. And I think for storage sake, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna cut from here over out completely. That's, you know, that's where the door entrance is, and then this is kind of blocking us from really building what we need to anyway, which we're gonna frame all of this. And I go in to say that because we gotta cut this out. So I'm gonna pull out the stuff from in here, we're gonna cut that out, and then I was lazy when I was cutting over here the other night because I was really tired, and I didn't get a chance to finish cutting this piece out, but I need to cut this trough out so we can have all this room for battery space. So this is where our batteries will go. This is where the electrical is gonna go. I've got really compact but really simple and nice electrical boxes that I'm gonna build here. One for AC power, one for DC, so we can run stuff directly off the battery. Anyway, I basically had to learn a little bit of electrical engineering to fucking understand some of this stuff. One of the things I've always been really good at is figuring stuff out. My brain has to learn stuff in order for me to let stuff go. You ever do that? You ever, like, next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. and you're on YouTube looking at how to make hydrogen bombs. And you're like, I'll never be making a hydrogen bomb. Yet here you are. That's how my brain works all the time. It's pretty fucking bad. Why was I going on about that? I don't know. The good thing to remember is that aluminum is strong until it's not. that was substantially easier than things normally go. Which means the next step's gonna be miserable, right? So I cut out that little area and that area, whatever. There's a couple things I need to do. This looks like shit, so I'm gonna have to weld a piece of aluminum that goes over and folds down to cover that edge over there. And then a backing plate right there, leaving all this shit exposed. There's a pretty gnarly edge along here that I need to clean up if we were gonna lay some good flooring. So I gotta smooth all that nice and flat, or as best as I can. I'll probably just come in with the Sawzall and do it flat as possible, and then use the palm grinder here or something like that if I can. I'm also going to be taking a wire wheel and going along the entire edge down here, you know, and over here, just to get up all this seam sealer and in the nasties, especially over here with all this corrosion and stuff. Clean all this up the best that I can. Probably do like a rubber protective coating afterwards on the floor before we lay down any new flooring. All right, so I got all the seam sealer off on all these edges. You can see where there's some gaps that I need to fill in with some of it I'll do with weld, some of it I'll just use seam sealer or silicone. There's no reason to complete all of these welds, but I would like to clean up some of the edges where there's some big gaps here, and you know, air can come in through here. So I think what I'd like to do is at least probably seal this entire cab off, cap all these holes. There's a lot of stuff that was mounted to the floor in this thing. It's an ambulance. So I'm trying to decide if I should fill these holes full of silicone for the easy, or if I should clean these up and weld them. And I mean, I know the right answer, I just don't want to do it. All right, so the next step on the floor is I'm going to take the Sawzall, get this nice and flat. Also probably take in like a sander, palm sander, like an angle grinder or something like that. Get these nice and flush so I can cap those welds. Same thing with this. I got a lot of crap I got to clean off these edges before they're able to be welded. I got to remove these and then clean up this surface area so I can weld over this. I'm going to cap this here with a solid piece of aluminum that goes all the way across, because this will make a good mounting place for the bed, which you guys will see. You know, just clean up some edges, start making this place build ready, you know what I'm saying? Now, before we can continue on to the next step, I do have to tell you guys that this video is sponsored by P-Blast. P-Blaster reached out to me not too long ago and said, hey Dan, we want to work with you. And I said, no way, you want to work with me? Which is always a pleasant surprise. P-Blaster, which I'm sure you recognize the PB logo. I mean, everyone's seen this. If you worked in the automotive industry, you've seen this. And I've been using that stuff since I was in high school. Now, this is P-Blaster's Multi-Max. This right here, this is it. I call this stuff Sriracha because I put it on everything. And I'm not saying that because I'm partnered. I've been dumping can after can on the 73 and the ambulance just because it works so damn well. It's the longest lasting lubricant, protects against corrosion and wear. You can put it on frickin' anything. Tools, hinges, door tracks, rollers, gears, winches, cables, pulleys, storm shutters. You can put it on a lot of shit. And it's odorless, so it don't stink. Now, not to mention the fact that it's got this really cool straw on it, like I talked about in the last partnership we did, that you can go into regular spray mode, sniper mode, and then you can adjust the volume of your spray. So like down here we have Imagine Dragons because we want to turn that shit down. And then up here, what's that, you ask? That's Fortunate Son. Now, they said they don't want me to light stuff on fire with their product, so I'm gonna stop the ad here. But thank you so much for partnering with me again. You wonder what you get your dad for Christmas? You know, what's a good stocking stuffer? A couple cans of P-Blast or Multi-Max. Anyways, let's get back to work. There's a reason they call me Dirty Dan with the Sawzall, because I know how to run that motherfucker. I need to get rid of this little tiny lip right there, though. Smooth as a baby's butt right there, boys. All right, now for this next part, I'm definitely gonna be wearing my respirator. I wear it as much as I can or as much as I feel like I need to. Sometimes you'll see me wearing it, sometimes you won't, but I wear it when I feel like I need to. Like when I was grinding in these channels here, there's dirt, debris, aluminum, all sorts of sickness. This is an ambulance in the air. I did not want that in my lungs. And another reason that I'm wearing it while working on this thing is that it's all aluminum, and aluminum, bad for you. Like inhaling aluminum, having aluminum in your system, like high amounts of it. They link it with like memory loss and all this other stuff, and I already have bad enough memory, not from the aluminum. All right, I cleaned this up pretty damn good. I went ahead and cleaned up all the edges where I'm gonna be welding. Because one thing I learned about aluminum, it's not like steel, right? Steel, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but it kind of doesn't. A lot of times you can just kind of like burn through the shit on steel. You cannot do that on aluminum. So I went ahead, like I said, and cleaned up all the surfaces. I'm gonna hit it with acetone here in a second. Make sure it's nice and clean, no oils. I cleaned up all of these cracks and crevices along the lines. I'll be throwing weld in that, making it nice and clean, hopefully. So I'll do this first, and then I'll lay a piece over here and there and down there as well. Now I do have a MIG machine that I normally use for welding, and I'd like to practice with TIGs. My buddy Alex to let me borrow his, and I think I'm gonna use it to stitch this seam that goes all the way up there to the cab. I'd like to do that to get some practice in, but if I just can't seem to do a good enough job, I'll probably switch to the MIG. All right, now I also have the battery disconnected. Now, some people sit here and argue and say that you do need to or you don't need to, whatever. I usually don't. I've never had a problem, but I did this time because I felt like it. Those are beads. Zippity zappity. Fucking stop it. Now, I think I'm gonna work on the MIG now. All right, so one of the issues that I was having some really gnarly porosity. I couldn't get the welds to mate, and I actually found there's a good bit of a seam sealer between these two pieces that are supposed to mate. So I had to like take my Sawzall, cleaned out the channel, and now I'm just gonna stitch this back together, and then that'll be sealed. All right, MIG gun set up. Let's lay some beads, for real. Nice. I need some metal to do some capping, so I'm just gonna reuse some of this aluminum that I cut out of the box to begin with. It's a little oblong shape. I mean, that's okay. Not the best welds I've ever done, not the worst. Yo, so that's gonna end it for today's episode of VDuck and the ambulance build series. I've been putting these videos in both, since it's technically both. On a side note, we haven't had hot water for a week now. So I guess some adapter on our hot water heater has broken. So it's not like controlling the gas. We rent, so we have to wait on them. It's been a week. And so I just got done taking a really, really cold shower and my balls are in my throat. Anyway, some of you guys were asking about doing the thing where I talk about the stuff in my office at the end of the video, and I figured I would. So I didn't think people would miss it, but people did. Today's feature will be my Doom snowboard and my Doom hat with the cowboy hat on it. Doom for sure is my favorite game, 100%, no way around it. I mean, like, I play StarCraft like every day, literally every day of my life, but Doom is my favorite game as far as whatever. So when they were releasing Doom Eternal, they had a snowboard for sale, as well as like the epic legendary edition or whatever it was, and came with a helmet. You can put it on your head. I'm not gonna do that because it's super fucking uncomfortable. It's a plastic helmet. 27, I still play with toys, but this is a legitimate snowboard by Bethesda, by Doom. I guess technically now is Microsoft. And this is the OG Doom 2016 theme right there, I believe. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of today's episode, and I will see you in the next one.